Hello all, and welcome to a very special review. Today we have the Master-Made Mega Series Apollo. And what this is essentially their take on sort of a super deformed Omega Supreme. Now, I have wanted a proper Omega Supreme since my childhood, and I remember my grandmother, Primus rest her soul, tried very hard to try to get me one of the original Omega Supremes, and we didn't realize once they sell out of something, they don't just keep making it. So I never had a chance to have one of the original ones, but I had always wanted a good figure, and I never really saw one that appealed to me. So this had come out, and I had loved the rest of their line, and I knew I had to get this one. Now the box is quite big, and it's followed the same sort of unified style that they've done the other figures in. They did Triptychon, and they did Metroplex. And they had the same type of illustration style they've used, very similar design elements as far as the layout and typography. And it's a overall pretty good box. On the top, you've got a little window, and then the bottom it's blank. So inside the box, we can pop it open and get a peek exactly what we're going to get. And you can see here we have the main figure, which is quite big. And then we have his weapon, or his cannon, and we have Optimus Prime. And they each should come with their own little minifigure. So let's go ahead and get him out of the box, compare him to some of the other figures, and just see how awesome this guy is. And here we have him in the box, and all I can say is, wow. This thing is hefty, it's got some crazy detail, and some really neat gimmicks. You may be kind of thrown off at first, like, well, this is Omega Supreme, why does he have normal hands? Well, we're going to get to that. They've done some clever things here that really... It's sort of their own twist on the character, and I think they did a really brilliant idea that I really hope Transformers adopts. I don't expect them to, but you never know. This one's simple enough where I think the transformation, even though being a parts former, is still pretty cool. Now, he comes with the instructions. We've got him, we've got his rocket, and then we've got a little Optimus Prime. And the super deformed Optimus Prime has got some okay articulation. His hands are fixed on there. He's got some rotation at the shoulder. Shoulder moves, head moves, hips move, and then feet move. I mean, he's pretty basic, but he's just a little sort of add-on for them. And I think they could probably sell these on their own because they did a really nice aesthetic with them. And with the other ones, you can see a comparison. We have a Megatron. And I think I do like the Megatron a little bit better. And I think that's due to because of them using this white instead of silver for Optimus. I think they went for more of an animation look. And then we have Ultra Magnus here. So this is the three they have done so far. You can sort of see the evolution as far as how they went with these. But they do still go together really well. I would say that Optimus Prime maybe has a little bit better paint and detailing on the windows and stuff. But Megatron, I think he's a little cooler just because of the color chosen. It kind of helps the lack of paint apps. So let's go ahead and move these guys out of the way. And to give you guys an idea, if you've already been collecting this line, here are the other two. Now, this all started with the SDF-01 from Macross, and they went on to Transformers. And while it is a cool figure, it's not on the same level as their Transformer figures because these have so much more die-cast and articulation and, of course, the transformation and all that, where the SDF-01 is really simple and much lighter. It's a good figure. I'd say it's worth the price, but these are definitely a better value. But yeah, you can see how he stacks up. I mean, he is a behemoth. Where this guy is probably still the heaviest one. Yeah, I'd say, and then he would probably be second, and of course he's the lightest. All great designs. He probably has the least super deformed aesthetic versus all of them because his head proportion is a little bit better to the body than the rest. I mean, he does still have that deformed look, but it does hold on its own, makes it sort of a little cooler than some people. Some people aren't fans of super deformed, and I think this is neutral enough where it might bring more people into this line versus, say, the Metroplex where his head is quite large. So we'll move these guys out of the way. I know there's been talk that they have the same hands. They may have the same engineering, but his hands are actually quite larger than Metroplex. So just note of that. But they do look great together. One thing, the pictures that I've seen of him when they were demoing him, he looks a little muted. And they did choose a fairly light gray plastic but I would not say that it's as muted as it appears in the photos. It is light, but with all the details and all these panel lines and all that stuff, it really has a good contrast to it that makes it look like a very finished, solid figure. Now let's get back to talking about these hands. So we've got the little rocket ship here, and it has a multitude of gimmicks. And that's sort of what they did that sets this apart. So what we have here, we're going to take this rocket, and we're going to, you can kind of push at the base and pull at the same time. And you do the same to all four of them, all the way around the nose cone. And then you can pull them all the way out. And the nose cone will slide off. So we have some nice detailing in there as well. And I'm going to try to make this as complete of a review as I can. I think this is such a cool figure that he deserves a lot of time and go over all the details. And another note, this guy does use batteries, does not come with batteries. You will need to find yourself a very well-machined small screwdriver. It's got a very small screw that is easy to strip the head because it's in there so tight. So you need to find one that's not as pointy, it's a little bit more flat, and you'll have a better chance of getting traction when you turn that screw off. So there's a screw, you lift the torso, and you have those CR2032 batteries. Mine doesn't fit that great. I know that some of these batteries can come in various dimensions, but mine is a little too wide. However, it still fit and functions at an angle. And also on the back of the head, it takes two LL44s. Not included, but you guys know what's coming, so if you ordered one, you can go ahead and get the batteries before it gets there. But with the gimmick here, so we've got a button under the chest, and then a button in the back of the head. And you can see how he lights up. That is a cool feature. I probably will not leave the batteries in there just because since this will mostly sit on display, batteries tend to go bad and they ruin figures. So I try to remove all batteries from figures when they're just on display. But this is a cool feature. However, the one place it probably could have used it is in the tip of the gun. I know that there might not be room for it due to the transformation design, but to have the barrel with a little light up feature as well, maybe even the lights around, would have really been top notch. But it is okay as is. So now, what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to transform this. And this has various configurations, and that's what makes it so cool. So what we've done, we've taken out the nose cone. Now what we can do is, let's see, I believe let's go ahead and leave these open. So what we're going to do now, turn him around, and then on the back of the wings, these pieces here come off. So he still has wings in this mode. And then these two pieces here will combine. And we have our handle here. And it doesn't matter which way it goes. It's the same both directions. So what we have here on this end is a hole for it to slide into. And everything's pretty tight, so you have to be careful. But there we go. That slides in like that. And these bits here will actually fold down. Now, a note of that, we've got this piece here. Okay, so now we have that. And then we fold our fingers in. And he has a hammer. A pretty cool extra configuration that they came up with to work with this. So let's go ahead and take this, and then he can hold it. So he's got a peg in his hand. And so his fingers are all tight on both ends, including this thumb, but this thumb is a little loose. And so let's go ahead and fit this in here. Let's see, we try to get this. Oh, okay, so we just need to twist this around. So you pop it off and flip it. So then we've got this peg hole in here. We'll do it with the longer end. Straighten his thumb out. Okay, then we can fit his thumb around it, fit his fingers around it. And I mean, that is just awesome. The fact they added this additional configuration is just, I mean, he's a Goliath. He just smash whatever now. I think that is so creative on their part and makes for such a cool concept. But we're not done. So let's go ahead and check out what else this can do. I mean, and he's posable. So let's go ahead, before we jump too far into this, I know, I'm a little excited because I am so happy with how this figure is, just getting into it as is. Let's talk about articulation real quick. So, nice strong ratchet in the shoulders. Same with inward outward of the shoulders. Good ratchets on the elbows. Ratchet rotation above the elbow. And of course the hand rotation, finger articulation. This bit here, it does seem a little loose, but it's part of the transformation. So it would go forward for the claw mode, and it slides back over the arms for that. And I mean, it is a little wiggly, but it's not that big of a deal. So then on the back, wing articulation, head rotates, can look up and up. Can't really look too down because of the angling. Then we have the visor will move forward. On top of that, there's some articulation on that. So if you don't want the antenna poking up, you can push it all the way back. Then we have waist rotation. No crunching. And then as far as the hips go, we've got a forward and back joint, no ratchet, left and right joint. Then a double knee. So look how far you can get up those knees. And then ball jointed ankle. And these feet are all die cast. So you can see all these little decals or tampos. Some really nice detail on this guy. Now about this next mode. I can't say that it is official. I saw this online. I think it was posted by a guy, Delta7890. And it is alternate uses for some of the parts. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the hammer here, pop this off, put the nose cone back on, and these fold back up. So we have sort of part of the rocket ship like that. Then we're going to take his wings out, which you can see other joints, multiple joints in there. Okay, so we've got that. And I don't know if this was intended by them or if this was as a fan mode, but it is too cool not to share. So then we're going to take, let's see, put that up there. Okay, so we've got that. Okay, like that. And then we'll take this and this. So we're going to move the fingers outward. Put this in the center. So let's see how tight. And that's really tight. See if I can do it this way. There we go. So this one fits a little bit better doing it with just a single one. So we can do it like that, but I'm gonna see if I can do it like this. So if you can kind of tell where we're going with this. Let's rotate this out. And the idea is like a compound bow. So you can, I'm gonna go ahead and put the longer one here. So see if we can pose his arms in a way. So he's got the hole in his hand where this will peg in. Oh, it should peg in, but it's... it's not really going. So, I know it can be done, but I don't want to stress anything on the figure and risk it. But anyway, what the idea is he has this mega bow. And if you want to play around with this idea and see if you can make it fit, it's fine, but I am not going to risk breaking any of these pegs or stressing any of the holes on this figure just to try this out. But you can see right here how it looks if you want to try it yourself. But cool idea, also compound bow. Just one other level of coolness to this figure, whether it be intended or not. So let's go ahead and pop these back off and go back into Omega Supreme mode. And these come apart, and then you can see under here where they connect. And the plastic quality feels really good. So it doesn't feel fragile going in there. So let's go ahead. Alright, so we tried that mode, or at least we saw that mode. Now what we want to do is make him into full Omega Supreme before we go through the transformation. So let's go ahead and make these into fists to make the hands smaller. And then we can take apart this. And it may seem a little tricky at first because it snaps in there really good. And you're like, okay, well, it came in two pieces, it snaps together, how's it come apart? There's these little locks on here. So there's, on the bottom, let's see if we can turn these right. Oh, so here. So these locks right here. So you move that one forward. And the same kind of lock on the top side. You move the other way, and it just separates. So that is just another level of clever engineering that they've done in this. And now the hands are free. So we have the claw, and what we'll do is we'll slide down that. I might have to mess with the hands to make sure everything fits. And just like when you snap them together, yeah, hand's still a little too big. And there you go. You've got one clamped on. And like I said, an LED on these would have been cool. Not necessary, but cool. And that's more like the Omega Supreme that everyone's more familiar with. So we'll go ahead and compress this hand some. Pull this down. And there we go. There is our more traditional Omega Supreme, and it's just cool looking. I mean, sure, LED, and of course a walking feature like G1 would have been cool, but as is, this looks great. And if we want to pull these guys back, just so you can see the full mode, goes well. I would say that, I mean, out of these three, he's already my favorite, and we've not even got the transformation yet. So let's go ahead and move these guys out of the way. And now that we've got the, gimmicks out of the way, the comparisons and articulation, let's go ahead and jump into the transformation and go into base mode. So what we'll do first, we're going to take out the head. And the way that works is there's a little spring mecha thing on the wings, and it just pops out. It holds in there so securely, but then it comes out so easily. Now, I do feel like the instructions could be a hair better because obviously there's other steps to doing this that aren't really shown. So here we can make it sort of a tank. But on my directions, it doesn't really go into that. It just shows you can remove this and then done. And obviously, being a Mega Supreme, there is more to it. So you would split the legs, and you have the little head tank. And to get a little bit more of a turret movement out of it, you could do that. And back here, you can see the switch for the head. We can turn that off since we're not going to be in that mode right now. And because of that, I do wish there was maybe a way to have hid the face. And if there is, it is not listed in the directions, but I see everything's kind of screwed in there, so I don't think that's the case. But yeah, so that's sort of the tank mode. And it's not bad. It's reminiscent of the original, but it is a head tank. But yeah, with the head out of the way, let's go ahead and go to the next step, and that is remove the torso. And it is just friction locked in there, just like all the other pegs. But it is very secure, so it is impressive how they did that. And we'll set this off to the side, and then we're just left with the legs. And so for the legs, what we'll do is we're going to make him do a split. You want to make sure you clear the hip stuff. So he does a split, and then the knee comes down. I feel like this should be splitting more, but it is not. Okay, so anyway, so we've got it split like that. Now this is another very cool gimmick. You push down on those, and they pop up. And then they rotate. They actually come off. But yeah, they rotate. And they pop up like that. Actually, I think I see why I won't do it. So we move those that way. And then we're going to go forward. No, or backward. Like that. And then split. There we go. And then it rotates like so. So, and then one step, so we have the little crotch plate comes down as a ramp. The knees will come down like that. So yeah, I missed the hip rotation. So you just do the hip rotation first, and you get a much more flush look. Alright, now let's turn the torso. And part of what is involved with that, so these hands pop off, and these pieces of plastic, and that's part of why they're loose, they actually will come off completely there. So then you can snap this back on. And we'll just do that for the other side. And then the peg back here will attach to the crotch. And there we have part of our base mode. So then these two pieces here, let's go ahead and take our rocket. So then we can lock these pieces on. Take off these wrist pieces, and then we can lock this other piece on here. And if you don't use the lock mechanism, you won't get the click, so then you can lock it afterwards, and then snap together, and we have our rocket. Now as far as these pieces go, we actually can leave them on here. That's the specific instructions, But I was thinking if you look around, you might be able to find some interesting places to put them. Because they don't really hide the hands. I mean, they do an okay job with the pistons there. But that would be probably one of the downfalls is, even though it's on the back, the hands are exposed. But we had the same problem with the Titan class Metroplex, and a lot of people didn't worry about it. So it's not the end of the world. And then for the rocket, you can see down here, we have under the thruster a hole, and the same way that the waist was on there, you just peg it on, then you can put the thrusters down, and there we have our tank in rocket mode, and it's almost complete. So next, we take this, and we're going to fold these pegs forward. Let's see. And you want to make sure the vent section is on the top. Then we're able to extend these. Actually leave these pylons on there. So then take this up, rotate it. We have it like that. And then inside this chest section here, there's a peg. And we'll just push the peg through the bottom of this. See if I can get the clearance right. This part here rotates out. That's why it's not clearing. So then we pull this out. Alright, so that will give us the clearance we need. Now we can peg this into here. And then these pieces you configure to be part of the rocket launch pad. And then we have him in his total transform base mode. And as you saw, it's all parts forming. You know, except for the hips and the arms and stuff, a little bit of movement there. It's a parts former. And I'm okay with that because the original toy was, I think it looks good. The base mode's okay. I will probably, this might be the last time I use this mode. I mean, it's kind of cool and it's reminiscent. However, on display on my shelf, he will probably be Omega Supreme with a big hammer. I think the hammer mode is one of the most clever concepts that was applied to this. I like the originality of it. I like the direction they went with it. I will probably go back and forth between that and the claw mode just because it gives me a little bit of play factor there, and at the same time I can get some cool posability out of it. So hopefully my excitement for this figure didn't cause you to ramble on too much. And if you guys like it, I got mine from Chosen Prime. There's some other places carrying it as well. I think in the past I got some of the other ones from some other places, actually New York Comic Con. So anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you all next time.